On the desk of the new president, amidst a pile of papers, one executive order stood out. It was a decision that would change the course of justice for many involved in one of the most infamous events in American history: the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. The order led to the release of several far-right leaders convicted for their roles in the riot, a chaotic and violent day that left 5 people dead and dozens injured, including over 170 police officers. More than 1,600 pardons would follow in the coming months, including for those still facing charges and awaiting trial, guaranteeing they would face no prosecution. Among those granted freedom were the leaders of 2 notorious far-right groups. Stewart Rhodes, head of the Oath Keepers, had been serving an 18-year sentence for his part in the Capitol attack. But today, he was free, walking out of the prison with his fellow members. Enrique Tarrio, leader of the Proud Boys, had been sentenced to 22 years. Now, he too was released, cheered by supporters. For many, these were defining images of the riot: men and women who had been caught up in the violent chaos, their faces becoming symbols of the uprising. One of the most iconic figures from that day, the so-called QAnon shaman, also had his criminal record wiped clean. He had been at the center of the Capitol's tumult, clad in fur and horns, making his way through the halls of Congress. The news of his release came to him while at the gym, and he couldn't contain his joy. "Freedom!" he shouted, letting out a victorious Native American war cry. For him and many others, it felt like a long-awaited victory. The violence of January 6 was something the nation had never witnessed before. Police officer Michael Fennan recalled the horror he faced while on duty that day. "I was pulled from the line, dragged out into the crowd, beaten severely," he said. Officers were hit with tasers, metal objects, fists. It was clear that the assault on the Capitol had been more than a protest. It had been an act of violence, one that would leave lasting scars on those who had fought to defend democracy. But as pardons were granted, the narrative shifted. Donald Trump, the president at the time, offered a message to the rioters: if you committed violence in his name, he would offer a second chance. Rachel Powell, a woman convicted for smashing a window with an ice axe, was also freed after serving just a year behind bars. "We went there thinking it would be a regular protest," she explained, but what unfolded was far from what anyone expected. For many families, the release of these individuals felt like a long-awaited moment of justice. Ben Pollock had marched to the Capitol that day with his family, convinced they were participating in a peaceful protest. His son and daughter were still behind bars, and he longed for the day they would be released. "Our lives have been stolen from us for the last 4 years," he said. "It's paid a toll on many families." Yet, despite the violence and the chaos, Pollock saw his actions as nothing more than political persecution. The controversy surrounding the pardons stirred emotions on all sides. For some, those who violently assaulted officers should be held accountable. For others, the line between protester and criminal was blurred, and they believed their loved ones had been wrongfully targeted. As the days passed, what had begun as a sweeping use of presidential power became one of the most divisive chapters in American history, leaving many to question what justice truly meant in the aftermath of January 6. Emma Vardy reported from Washington, D.C., capturing the complex emotions surrounding this unprecedented moment, as families, rioters, and political leaders continued to grapple with the consequences of that dark